It is the Dallas Cowboys podcast, and I don't know if you guys know this about me. For about 12 years or so, I've been doing the tape on the NFL draft. The great Brian Broaddus was crazy enough to just let me hang out with him and show me the ways and watch film. And so, like watching the college players, ranking the college players, it's something that I thoroughly enjoy every offseason.
Well, you the first. You were the first, though, right? You were the first that when Broaddus started kind of branching out and doing it outside of himself. Were you like the?
It was me and KT.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were out there grinding tape, eating way too much candy, stealing cherry Coke from the Joneses. I was on it. I was tearing it up out there. And so I like to talk about the draft. And so whenever we do, until I come up with a better name, I'm going to call it Donging Around the NFL Draft. And so there's something that happened over the last, these both happened last week and didn't really get to it because we were at the Super Bowl. We just had a lot of stuff going on and a lot of things to play. But there's a name that I think is one of the best players in this draft. It didn't seem real likely when you just look around at the people who you think know what they're doing and they make their little mock drafts. You're like, okay, I guess I probably can't have that guy. But we just talked about Nick Emenwari, and this guy ain't 6'2", 6'3". But if you want a guy who's a safety, but he's a corner, but he plays the nickel, but he blitzes, but he covers your tight end, and then he covers your slot receiver, I'd like to reintroduce Caleb Downs, the Ohio State safety, who is one of my favorite players in this draft class. And there I just put a few words in there so that we would have a graphic. Because I think, to me, one of the greatest compliments that I can give to a player, the first thing that I wrote in my notes was, man, he makes this look really easy. Like, just sees the game instinctually, knows what the quarterback wants to do. And honestly, a lot of times quarterbacks just don't bother trying to mess with him. And up until last week, I don't think I'd seen a single mock draft where Caleb Downs was available for the Dallas Cowboys. But now I want to present two of them to you that happened last week. One's my buddy Trevor Sikkema over at Pro Football Focus. And so he has his little mock draft, and you cruise on down to number 12, and it's Caleb Downs, Ohio State. And here's the words he wrote. It might seem crazy for Downs to slide outside the top 10, but from talking with people around the industry at the Senior Bowl, it appears his range is truly anywhere in the top 20. If he makes it to 12, I have no doubt the Cowboys will be interested. And then he starts talking about Pro Football Focus grading, which I'm not worried about. Then Lance Zierlein at NFL.com does him a little mock draft. And he doesn't say anything about this being a fall or anything. He just does his mock draft. And right there at number 12, Caleb Downs, Ohio State, safety. And he says, besides being a menace in the box and as an overhang nickel, Downs is a culture piece, which Dallas desperately could use on defense. So I just wanted to share the good word with you guys that after, whether it's visiting with people and actually hearing that some teams aren't as high on him, or whether it's just that safety is still viewed as a non-premium position. And if I can find a guy that's a pass rusher or an offensive tackle or a wide receiver or a corner, I'm getting more value for that player if he hits. Don't write off the possibility. Don't write off the possibility that you could have your next sort of Darren Woodson type player to plug into the Cowboys secondary. So today's a day of celebration. And I just wanted to share the good word with you guys.
I love it. I love it. Literally the segment before, and I heard you say it in the background, was, I picked Nick Emenwari, and this sounds very reminiscent and similar to that player. 6 foot, 200 pounds, safety, can play nickel, can come. I've watched Caleb Downs play. He's not afraid of coming down in that box and laying the pads.
He might need to chill out a little bit.
Right,
if we're being honest.
He has no problem doing that. And you talk about the culture piece. Is bringing guys in here, especially defensively. I think offensively, there's a culture that is set because you have one of the greatest leaders in the game currently in Dak Prescott. But defensively, bringing a guy who comes from a winning culture, who is a dog of a player, bringing him in. And again, I love the versatility. That is the key. That's going to be my word of this offseason. Versatility. Are we bringing players in that are dogs and have versatility? That's how you get great defenses. You get a level of versatility through the guys that you're putting on the football field. And if Caleb Downs is there, even though you've kind of got me a little bit excited, and I was a little bit gushing in San Francisco when I got to see my football man crush, Fred Warner, and you're saying Sonny Styles is reminiscent to that. Yeah. But I will take Caleb Downs. If I can't get Fred Warner Jr., then give me Caleb Downs to play that versatile role the Cowboys have a need for. There is a need there.
Go ahead.
Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles? Which one you want?
Oh, don't do that to me.
Why?
Don't do that to me. Well, I guess
what you doing the drive.
I have to be true to the board. Hold on. Let me pull up my rankings because I have them stacked. I would pick Caleb Downs.
Over Sonny Styles, over Fred Warner.
Yeah, but you want to hear the dirty little secret?
Oh, the dirty one.
That's player number 1 and player number 2, according to me. So I'm tap dancing either way. And I know for a lot of people, this has to be tough. If you've followed my draft stuff, because I do believe I am a position value guy. I do believe it. But picking at 12, I think they're the 2 best prospects in the draft. Then my position value doesn't mean I'm going to take the 17th best player, or I guess at 12 you wouldn't be that low, but I'm not taking the 11th best player over the best or second best player, because I just think it's that sort of year where you don't have the dominant, clean prospects at the premium positions. So I have to go take the dominant, clean prospects at a position that's less important, but boy, the Cowboys need it. And for Downs, it may not be less important. You know, we're in a world where
what you mean by clean? James Pierce clean or cleaner than
that? When I say clean, I mean, I guess you could throw off field in that, but what I mean is the guys at the premium spots. Let's take corner. Mansour Delane had an awesome year at LSU. Like him a lot. Jermod McCoy has great tape from 2 years ago at Tennessee, but he's coming off an ACL. We haven't seen him play football in a year. Delane might not test like a premier athlete, might not measure as big or as long as you dream of in a corner. So it's not Christian Gonzalez for the Patriots. Clean, good tape, wonderful athlete, all the size thresholds, boom, clean. And so in this one, like Ruben Bain, weird build for an edge defender. People are going to worry about the short arms. Probably won't test like a great athlete. The tape is awesome, but it's not clean where you check every box. Caleb Downs checks every box. Sonny Styles checks almost every box. You don't see a ton of coverage stuff on tape from him. I'm projecting his coverage based on I have seen him do it, and it looks really good, but there's not a ton of it. But that it's 6'4", 240, runs a 4'4", 4'5". Like, that's clean. I feel really good about the transition from college to NFL. And it's just not necessarily that way with the guys at premium spots. And so that's what NFL teams are going to go through is how do I feel about look, I'd love to be picking a $40 million player with my first pick. And that's not possible if I pick Caleb Downs or Jeremiah Love, the Notre Dame running back, or Sonny Styles. I'm picking a $17 million player that's going to make however much the pick at that spot makes. So the value's not as good. I don't want to miss. This team can't miss. You can't. Because that could be the biggest takeaway from watching the Super Bowl is let's look at the drafts the last few years of the teams that just played in it. Like you mentioned Witherspoon and Emanwari in Seattle. They're nailing it. They're nailing it with their guys. And so, yeah, we gotta get it. We got to get it right. That's what we got to do. We got to get everything right.
You know, one day I would like us to do a whole show on culture. Because what does culture mean? I mean, we all talk about he's a good part of culture. He's a good culture piece. He's a good culture piece because he's the number one prospect in your draft, too. He's the number one prospect on your board. That helps.
I think for the most part, we assign culture after the fact. Like the idea that the 90s Cowboys had incredible culture, they had the best players. I don't think we could look back at the team as a whole and be like, you tell you what, that culture now. Although maybe it was, because if culture is your best players also being your hardest workers, like I think there's something there. I take it back to in the college football playoff, every time I watch Miami play, there's absolutely a culture on that defense. If you're not a psycho and you are not
Right.
willing to take on a block full speed and you are not willing to run the alley and smoke somebody, you would stick out like a sore thumb. You
Yeah.
have to become that player or you can't play on that team.
And that's what those 90 teams were. Those dudes, you ask any of those dudes, they talked about how high level practice was. It was a competition every single day. You know, you've heard stories where coach will go tell Mike, you know, hey, go start a fight. Practice is a little dead. Go start a fight. So we can get like they were all about going and competing every single day. That is a culture piece and how you get better. Competition gets you better.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why the Cowboys didn't draft Randy Moss, because of that culture, because they got tired of that culture. I'm saying it can go both ways. And what you're saying about the Miami defense, that should be everybody's practice. That should be everybody as the defensive player. The definition of defensive player is go smoke somebody, go do your job, go smoke somebody. That shouldn't be a Miami thing, a Miami culture thing. Every head coach, every defense coordinator wants that on their defense on every team across the country.
Yeah. No, I know they do, but it doesn't mean you get that. Like a lot of corners don't play football that way. If you play at Miami and you're not hitting, you won't play. Their nickel corner is the biggest psycho on that team. That's the way they do things. Dan is in the super chat. Like, I've been a member for 5 months too. We appreciate you, Dan Myers. He said, are you guys doing a live stream during the first round? Absolutely, positively. Nothing makes me happier than draft stuff. We will be on during the first round, and I'm hoping we can find a way to get picks, because I'm pretty sure we're going to be on during every round, because we love us some NFL drafts around these parts. And then, oh, okay, Jimmy Neutron with a beard. Now that's me. Is that me?
That's it. Nailed it. Nailed it. Go find you some Latinos, you and Jimmy. Go risk you some Latinos.